Okay, Megyn Kelly's numbers just came out. She's officially now no longer with NBC. She had a 3-year contract with them. She, of course, used to be at Fox News Channel. She accused Roger Ailes and some of the other executives of sexual harassment because they had done sexual harassment. And so she left Fox News, went to NBC. Andy Lack hired her because Andy Lack is old school and he thinks, oh yeah, it's like television, it's so big and we have to get the best television anchors with the best smiles, and Megyn Kelly's got a good smile, and she was very talented at Fox News. Now the reality is, Fox News is a juggernaut. They represent conservatives. That's why they have those giant ratings. And Bill O'Reilly had really great ratings, but now Tucker Carlson does. Megyn Kelly had really good ratings. Well, now Laura Ingraham does. It's the channel, it's the idea, and it's the brand more than it is any particular anchor. But television executives are very, very old. So they think, no, Katie Couric was #1 in daytime television or in morning television because she has a great smile and personality. Okay, yeah, no, all right, that's not today, man. In the old days, yes, when there was 3 channels, and whoever had the better smile out of the 3 channels would win, and then they'd make a lot more money because they had the whole country captive to that box in their living room, and there was only 3 channels. So Katie Couric's smile won over the smile of the whoever the anchor was at ABC and CBS. Anyway, so Megyn Kelly then got fired. I actually did not agree with her firing. I think that NBC used the racially insensitive things that she said as an excuse because there was 1,000 other issues with her. She wasn't getting very good ratings. She was not beloved inside the organization, to say the least. So she made a terrible comment about using blackface on Halloween and what's the big deal. When we were kids, we did that all the time and nobody thought any of it. I know when you were kids, people were racist. And look, if you're a regular person and you don't know the importance of blackface or the history of it, that's totally fine. I get it. And so I think that sometimes progressives are too tough on random Joe Schmo in the middle of Milwaukee who doesn't know the history and context of blackface, right? But if you're Megyn Kelly and you're getting paid $69 million, then it literally is your job to know that history. And so if you don't know it, I'll just go over it real quick because I don't want to do a video without giving context. It was used in minstrel shows to make fun of black people, but much worse, it was used in a lot of the media, including movies like Birth of a Nation, to have white actors play black actors in blackface and then have them kidnap and rape white women. And then the heroes of Birth of a Nation were the Ku Klux Klan, who would then capture that person in blackface and murder him. Okay, so that's why blackface is terrible if you didn't know. And again, I don't judge you too harshly if you didn't know that, because that's not necessarily your job, but it was Megyn Kelly's job. But I think it would have been much better if her fellow anchors who were offended by that, rightfully so, had a conversation, had a 1-hour special where they talked to her about it. Anyway, we all know NBC used it as an excuse to fire her. And so now she just got paid for the work she didn't do. Because she was in the middle of her 2nd year of a 3-year contract. So she signed a non-disclosure agreement so she won't say anything bad that happened at NBC. They were very, very worried about that. So that's an interesting note as to why they were that worried. Now, non-disclosure agreements are very normal. So I'm not saying that that's like weird or abnormal at all. But the price that they paid was significant. And that's why I bring it up. So, okay, let me just finally get to it. They paid her $30 million for the rest of her contract for a job she no longer has to do. I mean, so she's free to go and she just got a $30 million check. That's according to New York Post. Now, there are federal government workers right now that are not getting paid and being forced to work anyway. I mean, I can go on and on about the amount of problems that people have with wages and how our wages have not gone up for the average worker for the last 40 years, for God's sake. And for all those giant, literally trillions of dollars tax cuts that Trump and the Republicans passed, and wages, when you account for inflation, went down last year. So, but meanwhile, if you're in the elite, you get $30 million for not working. Look, I get it. She had a contract, and I get it. Media is different, but it just still rubs a lot of people the wrong way, and it's understandable why it does. And finally, like, it's so frustrating that when you do anything at work, you're a goner. Ain't nobody giving you $30 million or $30 oftentimes, right? And so if you're at a good company, they'll give you a severance, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, right? But these guys, the bankers bankrupted the whole country, the whole global economy, and they still got their bonuses. They got millions of dollars in bonuses. So Megyn Kelly does a terrible job. Her ratings are bad, and she gets $30 million for not working. And then they wonder why people are frustrated with the elites, and how they wonder why television anchors can't relate to the average American. They're all against all progressive priorities like Medicare for all, etc. Yeah, of course they don't need health care. They got a $69 million contract. Of course they don't want any progressive priorities. It would be higher taxes for them. And they make a monstrous amount of money. And last thing is, look, guys, it's not the old world. Television doesn't get that many viewers anymore. I don't even blame Megyn Kelly that much for her mediocre ratings. It's because just television doesn't have as good ratings anymore. No one on television has the kind of ratings that would justify a $69 million contract. So it was originally Andy Lack's fault in the first place, because he's old school and he hired her based on, his experience from 20, 30, 40 years ago. And that world does not exist anymore. And so the $30 million to not work is just pouring salt on our wounds. But the original crime was hiring her, not the firing of her. All right. So anyway, meanwhile, tyt.com/join, right? That's how we get along. And that's $4.99 a month, right? So you can see the disparity between digital media and old school television. So come join us. We give you dozens of progressive shows for $4.99 a month. tyt.com/join. All right. Much love, guys.